Hi, this is Amos, the math guy. Today, I'm going to actually take a step aside and talk to you about my other passion slash degrees. I have a degree in chemistry as well as medical physics. And so today, what I want to talk to you about is, well, at the end, I'll talk to you about what medical physics is, because some of you are wondering, what is medical physics? But what I want to talk to you about today is the best science combination you could ever have for your student, right? I have some young scientists that were helping me to record now, but they're going to head in and check on the others. My wife and I are blessed with 7 children, and we actually homeschool our kids, but we've done something called a homeschool hybrid program. And a homeschool hybrid program is where kids come 2 days a week for class, and then the rest of the week they work from home. The idea with that is that kids can collaborate, they can help one another, they can learn together, do experiments together, and then at home they do their reading and continue collaboration if they want through the internet. You might have heard of the internet. But so here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about how can you complete chemistry, physics, and physical science at the same time. How is that even possible? So what I want to present to you is not done anywhere in the world, okay? Nobody in the world does what I'm about to tell you. But that is my goal, that is my dream, that is my aspiration for my students, whether the ones I work with remotely, because I still work with students remotely. I do some mentoring in science and math. Now, I travel with a wagon sometimes, so you'll notice that I have this wagon. In the wagon, I have books on the history of science. I have a book on Johannes Kepler. I actually have books that I've written also. I've written a few books. Tools for Mastering Mathematics is one of them. I've written a math curriculum called Counting to Calculus, and you can sign up for that. It takes you from basic math all the way to calculus in literally less than 3 years, if you're willing and dedicated. So if you're in 7th grade, you could be doing calculus in 9th or 10th grade. If you're in 4th grade and use my program, you'll be in calculus in about 8th grade. It's up to you, and if your skills are up to where they need to be, if you don't take any breaks in the summer, you will literally get to calculus in no time. So let's go ahead and go through the curriculum now. We'll go one by one from all the curriculum. So I'm going to let my little helper know that he's good to go, and I'm going to go ahead and talk through all these books. So let's start from the beginning. Hello, let's pick it up from where we stopped. Basically, we're going to be looking at what it takes to be a world-class scientist, right? So imagine you have an 8th or 9th grader. You're thinking about science ideas. What I'm going to present to you again is something that's really not been done before, but that needs to be done more often in America. Here's what I'm talking about. I would encourage you to do chemistry, physics, and physical science at the same time, okay? So here's how that's going to work. So imagine you have a chemistry textbook, right? And there's a program from the Discovery Institute where they do chemistry, the Discovery Academy. They have a good chemistry program, and I recommend that you reach out to their program. Let me know if you have any questions. You can email me at amosthemathguy@gmail.com, and I'll put you in touch with the instructor. But basically, you'll get instruction in chemistry, and then you'll get office hours and everything you need for chemistry. But let's just say this for a second. You have chemistry, which is one of this book is called Chemistry, the Central Science, right? This is just a sample. But imagine if you're doing chemistry, you're learning about the atom and so on and so forth. Well, guess what? In physical science, you also learn about the atom. You learn the same thing. So why not do it at the same time, right? So when you do lessons on the atom, you can go to the section on atoms here and you just check that off. You're basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But it's even cooler when you do this. Imagine if you then integrate physics. So you do chemistry, let's say for 45 minutes on Mondays, and you do physics for 45 minutes, and then you look at your physical science book and you wrap up whatever is connected to the chemistry and physics that you did. How cool is that? You're doing 3 sciences at the same time. That is what they do in Nigeria. We do chemistry, physics, and biology. 3 branches of chemistry, 2 branches of physics and biology in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So when you graduate from 12th grade, you literally would have had 3 chemistry teachers, 2 physics teachers, and a biology instructor who's taking you through the journey. So about 6, that's actually, so each year you're doing 6 science courses. So that's 18 science courses when you graduate from Nigeria. That's what I'm trying to bring to America. I'm based out of Texas, but my program is available to anyone around the country. Again, it's Amos the Math Guy, but I do have a background in chemistry and physics, so that's why I do that. So now, let's talk about the other aspects of this program that you probably will never see in a traditional classroom, okay? So we have our chemistry and physics. If your student is younger, there's actually Exploring Creation for Chemistry and Physics. This is a Young Explorer series. I find that to be an interesting idea of teaching chemistry and physics to elementary age kids. Then you have CLEP chemistry, okay? Imagine if you are doing your chemistry, but then on Fridays or on Saturdays, you dedicate a half hour to doing some CLEP practice problems. Wouldn't that be cool? Again, if you want the full roadmap for this, I can email it to you. But when you finish this program right here, chemistry, physics, physical science, you can actually get credit, college credit for the chemistry part. We have this in our bookstore. This is the REA chemistry book. Reach out if you want that, okay? So that's our coursework, okay? Now we're gonna talk about what are the additional pieces to this beautiful chemistry physics combination course. This is a book by Sherry Frame called Credits Before College. We talk about how to get college credit, and this is one book that can give you more resources on that, as well as how to figure out your direction in life and careers, okay? We'll put that away. In order to do physics and to do it well, you need calculus, right? We have the calculus books. We have a course called Counting to Calculus that will guide you from basic math all the way to calculus. That means you can now do physics with more confidence, right? Because there's actually a branch of physics called calculus-based physics, or a type of class called calculus-based physics, and there's one called algebra-based physics. Wouldn't it be cool for you to have the math skills? And that's why our Counting to Calculus course, which you can start in 3rd or 4th grade, you can use that so that you're in calculus in 8th grade, and then you can do physics, chemistry, biology in 9th grade or 10th grade. See, we're here to make your education experience more efficient because we believe that you were made for a purpose and we don't want to waste any time. So I'm going to put these away and we're going to look at the next set of things that makes this course unique. I don't want to overwhelm you either, but I just want to tell you that there are different aspects to this course. So you have the content, you have the mindset of getting college credit when you finish this class. There's some history and philosophy of mathematics and science that you can learn along the way. People like James Clerk Maxwell, people like Michael Faraday. So imagine you go to class and today's lesson is on electricity. Guess what our course does? Our course talks to you a little bit about the history of electricity. Our course talks to you about the people behind the math and science. How cool is that, right? You're learning the context. You're learning about how the Franco-Prussian War affects science in Europe, right? Because after the Franco-Prussian War, in 1870, 1871 here, we're talking about that time frame, we basically see Germany beginning to take off, right? There's actually a book that one of my students gave me called Why the Germans Do It Better. I haven't read it yet, but that's what it's called. And I think it's interesting because they do it better when it comes to certain fields of study. And so I think it'll be cool that the students are learning about the cultural context, because Germany beat France in that war, and what happened after that is that we see people like Max Planck, Albert Einstein, William Rankine. I can go on and on with the list of German scientists. Albert Einstein, Heinrich Hertz, Boltzmann, Ludwig Boltzmann. You know, isn't it interesting that you hear all these names of German scientists, right? There's something about how they were learning science. And so I encourage my students to limit their screen time of just playing games on their phones and so on. And instead, what if they were reading books like this? What if they were reading books about Leonhard Euler, you know, books about the history of math and the history of science? I think that's a better use of their time. Before I go on, I want to just talk about a few more books, and then I'm going to land the plane by answering the question of one of the fields of study, or two fields of study, that really put chemistry and physics together. One of them is called medical physics, and the other one is called physical chemistry. Before I do that though, let me wrap up with a few more warnings to my students. If you're going to do this program I'm recommending, then you need to make sure that you have a notebook dedicated to physics and a notebook dedicated to chemistry. It is important that you have notebooks and note-taking skills, and that you have test-taking skills. You want to build that, and I'm here to help with that as well. That's part of what I do when I coach students. Okay, before my whiteboard goes away, let me land the plane. Here are a few more books on innovations and inventions. We have the history of chemistry. We have Letourneau. Letourneau University is named after him. We have Gifted Hands by Raymond Damadian. These are all books that you can order from our store. We have The Wright Brothers, which is by David McCullough. Great story. These guys inspired me. I mean, they inspire me. Every day I see them, I'm just like, man, I'm inspired. So imagine if your students are reading more books all through their high school years, all through their middle school years, instead of just being on a phone for endless hours, right? They need to read more books. Or listen to them on Audible. That counts too, on your audio platforms. Lastly, these are some other books we have. The World of Physics, The World of Astronomy. By the way, astronomy is part of what inspired physics, just so you know. The World of Mathematics, which is the history of math, and of course it ties to science. Inventions and Technology, an Introduction to Logic. Scientists need to know the history and philosophy of science. They need to understand why science works. And sometimes we teach science, but we don't want to talk about the history and philosophy of science. I think that's very important. There's a lot in this video, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to put a list of all these documents because we're building a super science course. This is a super course. Nobody has really done it, ever. But if people do this, we're going to start seeing some Nobel Prize winners, and then maybe they can help me fund my university, which I want to start someday, my STEM college. But I want to give quick commercial break. We've talked a lot about science, chemistry, physics, physical science, the history of science, the applications of science, all of that stuff that you can do in this course, right? So this is like a stack of books that you can literally order along with, except the one on Germany because I haven't read that. But imagine if you ordered all these books along with your chemistry and your physics course. And now your child on the weekend is reading more books and telling you how cool that is, right? I found this one at Costco, which is actually just called Discover Physics, Discover Chemistry, Discover Robotics, as well as they have one, so physics, chemistry, and then they have computer science. There is a big connection between physics and computer science, and that's part of what you'll see in our course or in the field of STEM. We're doing STEM camps in Texas as well as North Dakota, Minnesota, Grand Forks, Fargo, Houston, Austin, Dallas, as well as Duluth, Minnesota. So reach out if you're interested in any of the camps that we're doing. Reach out if you're interested in any of our math curriculums that can be used as a main course or as a supplement to whatever course you're using. Lastly, let's wrap up with my commercial break and then just a few more books. This is called Modern World History-Based Writing Lessons from Institute for Excellence in Writing. So this is science I'm talking about, right? But I'm Amos the math guy. So I give you the science and I give you the math. But there's actually two other things that I love doing. I love writing and I love history. So basically, Amos the science guy can provide you with guidance for all of your homeschooling needs. I could also provide you with mentoring. Again, I have a limited number of students I can take every year, but I have some spots still open if you're interested in having a mentor in math or physics or chemistry that can just check in and see, hey, how's it going? I gather students on Zoom and I answer some basic questions. I tell them the history and philosophy of science because I'm trying to inspire a kind of student that knows the math and science, but also understands the history and the philosophy of science. I want them to know both because that's the type of scientist Isaac Newton was, James Clerk Maxwell, and some of the top scientists we've ever had. They had an understanding of the history of the content they were learning as well as the concepts they were learning. So this book, I bring it up because it will show you some of the things that happen in modern history. Now, I love modern history, especially when we're talking about the printing press and onward, so about 1450 and beyond. I have videos that talk about what caused the scientific revolution. And that's where the modern history piece just gets me excited, right? Because it was the work of Gutenberg, Johannes Gutenberg, and the Copernican revolution. And you couple that with Isaac Newton's work, right? And the Reformation actually had a role there because it provided more people with the opportunity to read. And more people are reading, more materials are available for them to read, more people are studying what other people are doing. I mean, the world was ripe for a revolution, right? And that's what happened. This is part of why I love the history of science, because it helps me have a better understanding. So let's land our plane as I promised. How do I help your student to graduate from my program with excellence? Well, thanks to Cal Newport, the computer scientist. He has a book called How to Be a High School Superstar. He has other books on teaching us how to work well. He has Deep Work. I mean, again, these are great books that can help you to be careful how you use your time. And so Cal Newport has a great book. I'm going to be doing more videos discussing how to do well with your time, how to do well with your, how to study. Before I go on, I do want to mention two quick things. This is my book, Tools for Mastering Mathematics. I also have one called Achieving Excellence in Academics or Pursuing Excellence in Character. So I have all these books that can help you to learn how to do well in school, how to manage your time. And so stay tuned for more materials on that. Email me if you're interested in any of the books that I have written. So let's land our plane. I promise that we're going to land soon. Wouldn't it be cool for your students to read about inspiring entrepreneurs, right? So this is from the Tuttle Twins. Or if they read about life after television, the impact of technological advancements. John Lennox does a great job of this in his book 2084, which is a play on words on 1984. But John Lennox has a great resource on that. How about this book called Can Science Explain Everything? Now your kids are not just learning science, they're learning some apologetics, they're learning some philosophy of science. John Lennox is a mathematician out of Oxford University. He's retired now, but he also has training in the philosophy of science, the history and philosophy of science. So I want to encourage your students to not just learn science, but learn the history and philosophy of science. And then your students should learn about different careers, right? This is not just on science, but just different careers so they can begin to job shadow. Again, there is no reason kids need to be on smartphones all day. There is so much they could be doing with their time. So let me land with the question, what is a medical physicist? A medical physicist, in this case, this is a book on CT. It's called the CT Handbook. If you get a CT scan, you get radiation. How much radiation should you get for the CT scan that you're getting, right? Now, in CT physics, there's something called dose modulation. And so physicists make sure that the doses that are used for exams in X-ray and radiology are in the appropriate dose. So you don't want to get a head CT scan and get 200 milligray. You want to be less than 80 milligray, right? So a medical physicist is responsible for the safe use of, let's just say, X-rays, and making sure that the equipment is working in the right range. Otherwise, they have to talk to a service engineer or biomedical engineer, right? So a medical physicist is someone who has a degree. Generally, they get a bachelor's degree in chemistry or physics or biomedical engineering or something in a STEM field. But there are some that might get it in a different field. But you get your 4-year degree in a STEM field, and then you get a master's degree in medical physics. I will encourage you, if you plan to become a board-certified physicist someday, that you get your master's from a CAMPEP accredited program. That's a little technical, but just know that you want to check if the program is CAMPEP accredited, because that would impact if you could sit for your boards. Another day's story. I've given you a little secret free of charge. So anyways, that's part of what medical physicists do, is that they deal with radiation safety, and they are an advocate for patient safety with regards to X-rays. I'm a medical physicist by training. I also have a master's in medical health physics, so I am passionate about the topic of radiation safety. And I love mathematics, as you know. So this is Amos the Math Guy. I've presented you with a curriculum. Sorry, some of it is cleaning off here. I've presented you with a curriculum that can help you cover all the science you need from chemistry, physics, and physical science in 1 year. And then on the other side, earth science, biology, and anatomy, you could do it the 2nd year. Notice that in 2 years, you finish everything. You can get college credit through CLEPing, and we're here to help you. So, Amos Tarfa, the Math Guy, who also happens to be a scientist. Take care and have a blessed day.